Hello, everybody. How are you guys doing? I hope you're doing well. I am doing pretty good myself. I am a mix of emotions right now. I'm feeling super lazy. I kind of just rotted all day, but I'm also feeling super excited because if you don't know, I'm in England. I am based in England now. Um, and I'm about to experience my first ever autumn in England, or just autumn in general. I've never experienced autumn in my life, not in person at least. Like I obviously know, everybody knows like the leaves turn green, everything falls, and it's really pretty and really nice, but I've never experienced it in person, so I'm super excited about that. So, yeah. And then I'm also kind of stressed because, typical 20-year-old stuff, figuring out my future, being broke, like just figuring everything out, especially being somebody who just graduated and now has their entire life ahead of them and is also technically in a gap year before potentially doing a master's. Everything is just really up in the air right now. Also, having just moved countries, all of those things kind of culminating together to make a nice ball of stress and existential crisis and lost feelingness of it all. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. And typically, what I do for these episodes is I make a plan of the episode and then I go based off of that plan and talk about what I plan to talk about. But today's a little bit different. I was just kind of rotting for the day in my bed. And I then decided I had a burst of inspiration to talk about feeling lost in your 20s and also like gaining confidence in your 20s. Because actually, this inspiration for this was I did a poll on the Notes and Quotes Pod Instagram. Go follow, please. Yeah. But I did a poll on it to just say, ask the pod anything. And somebody asked, how did you get so confident? And I was like, oh, hilarious. Um, it's all a lie, babe. It's all fake. So I just decided, let me do an episode about this to discuss it and to explain how to figure out confidence and feeling lost in your 20s because it's something that I'm very familiar with and something that I'm still navigating myself. So I feel like it would be helpful if I shared. And the only planning that I did for this episode was quite genuinely 5 minutes ago. I went searching for a quote that related to what we were talking about just because, of course, notes and quotes. Have to find a quote for this episode. Duh. So that's what we did. And this quote is really short and simple. It simply says, a reminder for 20 somethings. You're a baby adult. You're allowed to make mistakes and take time learning. Now, this is from Truly 20s on Instagram and a bunch of other social media platforms, but I follow them on Instagram. And it just really resonates with me. And it also reminds me of this thing that I saw online. I can't remember how long back, but it stuck with me. So basically, even when I was maybe 16 onward, I was just always freaking out about whether I'm doing enough for my age. So I would literally even be looking online or looking up what the typical 18-year-old is like or what you should have achieved at 20, 21, and now 22. So I have always been wondering about that and looking at other people. I think everybody kind of does that, especially in the age of social media. Everybody has access to most of everybody's lives and can see their highlight reels and can see everything that they're doing and all of their achievements and the things that they do every day. And so you end up comparing yourself to it. Everybody does it. It's kind of unavoidable. But what I saw was this post that said, really and truly, when you hit 20, you're a 0-year-old adult. Like you've just been born. And at 21, you're a 1-year-old adult. And 22, you're a 2-year-old adult, and so on and so forth. And I know it's dumb, but it actually puts things in perspective because it's like, okay, I personally, I have just turned 22. So I am a 22-year-old, sorry, I am a 2-year-old adult and that means I don't know, I've just learned to like read but in adult form. So I'm only now learning the baby steps of adulthood. I'm really not that much of an adult yet. I'm still a kid in adult years. So I need to cut myself some slack, essentially. And I need to not put so much stress on myself and so much pressure on myself to live up to all of my different expectations and things that I see other people doing with their own lives online. Like people are having kids, people are progressing in their careers to an excessive amount. People have like really impressive LinkedIn profiles and stuff. And I'm constantly trying to like play catch up and make myself seem like I'm at that level as well. Not with having kids, God forbid, but just with all of the other different accomplishments and achievements in life. And so it can be really stressful and it can put a lot of pressure on you. And then also, the other thing that you would struggle with in your 20s goes back to that same thing that person asked me, which is confidence. And not only, of course, confidence isn't just something that you struggle with in your 20s. I think it's something that we all struggle with throughout our entire lives from like birth, I can't think of a time in my life where I wasn't at least on some level insecure. I genuinely cannot. And if I'm being honest right now, I am probably the most confident that I have been in my entire life, but that doesn't mean that I am confident. I am just as close as I can get, as close as I have been ever. I am still very much insecure. And the only way that I learned to hack that was kind of just fully embodying the term fake it till you make it. I don't know if anybody has seen that clip of Rihanna. It's a really old clip where she is being interviewed by somebody on a red carpet and they're like, "How do you I'm definitely butchering it, but how do you like live life and be so confident and look so amazing?" And then she was just like, "Fake it till you make it, babe." Like it's all a lie, basically. And that is exactly how I live my life now. I'm still very much insecure. I'm still very much an overthinker. That is literally the embodiment of my life. So for example, today my big feat that required a lot of confidence was going outside today for the first time in my full afro, which is quite a large afro if you have never seen it before. And it was in a predominantly white town. Like I'm probably the only person that looks like me in this town. And definitely the only person that has my kind of hair in this town. So I walked through the streets like that today. Granted, there weren't that many people around, but the people that I knew, everybody was looking at me. But it was fine. I was borderline terrified, but I was fine. I faked it. I faked walking around confident. I knew I just needed to hold my head up and shoulders back, walk like I own the streets, and I'll be fine. Even if I'm freaking out on the inside, they can't see that. So I am just gonna pretend like I'm confident, and then you kind of start to embody it a little bit. It kind of starts to actually become a little bit of a reality. Like the insecurity doesn't fully 100% go away, but you're able to cope with it better because you've already jumped over the first hurdle, which was doing it, just starting. Starting is always the hardest part for absolutely anything in your life. So once you start it, that's the hardest hurdle to jump over, and then you just have to continue. And that's much easier than starting. And I can tell you about so many different instances in my life where faking it has worked for me. And it's so funny because 90% of the moments where I think people look at me and they wonder how confident she is or how she can be that confident, if you were on the inside of my brain, you'd know that I was absolutely freaking out and questioning every single thing I was doing at that time. And I was just imagining I was somebody else. So anytime that I've given like a really big speech in front of a large crowd, I am faking it. If I'm walking outside in a bit of a risky outfit or something that stands out, 100% feeling every single eye perceiving me, but I'm faking that I don't and that I'm confident in what I'm wearing. If I'm engaging in small talk or really any form of conversation with somebody that I've never spoken to before or that we are not really that close as yet, 100% anxious, 100% nervous, 100% overthinking every single sentence that I'm saying, but I'm pretending like I'm such a good conversationalist and so social. Moral of the story, it's all a lie. It is all a lie. Everybody is insecure. Everybody is overthinking. Everybody is anxious and trying to figure it out. I have never actually 100% met a person who is not. I have met people who are more confident than me and surprise me all the time. I've met people who I go out with and they just randomly talk to strangers so casually, and it just shocks me and inspires me every single time I see it. And I don't know how they do that. I've met people who are not afraid of asking strangers to take photos of them in like foreign countries or literally anywhere. And I think they're absolutely completely superheroes, and I don't understand how they do that without feeling any modicum of anxiety. But props to them. I am not at that level. I would love to be there. I'm working on it. But yeah, everybody has their certain level of anxiety or insecurity, and it's really just about faking a level of confidence that you're comfortable with and then working your way up from there, because I don't like the idea of living my life wanting to do things, wanting to wear things, wanting to say things, wanting to experience experiences, but the only thing blocking me is fear. So, for example, with the afro situation of going outside in a predominantly white setting with my afro, I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, this is a really good afro day. I would love to rock this, but I probably won't. And then I stopped myself and I asked myself, what is the one thing what are all, let me list the things that are stopping me right now. And then when I thought about it, the only valid reason that I had was fear. And it wasn't even a valid reason. The only reason in general I had was fear. And I was like, okay, no, I can't, no, I'm not going to let that take over. So I am going to do it. And I'm trying to do that more now. If I cannot list any other valid reasons besides fear of being perceived, then I'm not going to let that win over. And I will take the bullet and just let other people perceive me and fake my confidence. And the other thing that I've been doing a lot more now is also just saying yes more. I don't know when it was that I said that I was going to start doing this, but I'm so happy that I did. I remember vaguely, I remember the moment in time in my life where I saw somebody who posted some YouTube video like years ago of saying, I said yes to everything for a year, and this is how my life turned out. And they had such a more fulfilling life, and it was so full of adventure and excitement and overall fulfillment and enlightenment. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try that. And I don't know when it was. I can't tell you how old I was. I can't tell you what year it was. I can't tell you any of that. But I started doing that a little bit in stages, of course. Like I didn't say yes to every single little thing, but I started saying yes way more often than I had. And I started to have really great experiences. Like even now, I'm still having those really great experiences. And I say yes to things even when I feel uncomfortable to a certain degree. I'm not going to say any yes to anything that I feel is going to harm me, but or put me in danger, but I'm saying yes to things that might feel uncomfortable because I'm just nervous or insecure. So if a friend of mine says, "Okay, let's go to a bar," and I'm like, "Oh, I would be much more in my comfort zone if I went home and I just curled up in bed and I watched a movie that I've watched like a million different times." But I say yes anyway without even letting that feeling take over, and I end up having a really cool time and something happens and it's like unexpected and I'm like, "Oh, that was a really fun story," and "Ooh, I really love that I have that memory now." Just saying yes more often also makes you more confident, and it helps push you out of your comfort zone, because I think there's so much more of life to experience outside of your comfort zone. I know this wasn't the quote for today, but I feel like this will be a double quote episode. But there was somebody who said, I'll probably look it up and figure it out, but there was someone who said that everything great is on the other side of fair. And it's so incredibly true. And that's another thing that I've realized much more having moved to a completely different country. When you move to a completely different country, everything is fair. Going to the supermarket is fair. Walking outside your door is fair. Like it's just every single thing becomes anxiety inducing, at least for me. And so I had to be constantly pushing myself out of my comfort zone in different ways every single day just to live. And now I'm still doing that. I'm still very much doing that because I've only been here for about 3 months. But I have done it to an extent where I am now actually feeling like I'm building a life for myself. I have been starting to make friends. I know where the supermarket is. I can drive here now. I have a regular coffee shop, like different things that required me to step outside of my comfort zone, even though I was burning with anxiety with every single step I took towards doing that. But I still did it anyway. And I faked it because it was the only way that I was going to get out of my room and actually make myself happy. Because I feel like if we allow ourselves to completely stick in our comfort zones the entire time of our lives, then nothing ever exciting actually happens. That's just the first thing. And two, you kind of become miserable because everything becomes so comfortable and almost boring. And then you're just kind of craving something else, but you're too scared and you're too insecure to put yourself out there. And it just sucks your life away. And I also, it makes it so much worse because we are in the digital age. We're in the social media age where we can consume 50 people's lives in the span of 5 minutes. And you're constantly subconsciously comparing yourself to other people. It's a given. You can't not. And when you're just stuck in your comfort zone for so long, you kind of start to feel a little bit crappy about your own life when you're looking at everybody else's highlight reel. It's like diving down a rabbit hole of so-called enjoyment on social media. And then when you finally come out and you take the glasses off and you look around, it's like, well, what am I doing with my life? Why am I not more confident? Why am I not making more friends and having really great experiences or even enjoying my life? And maybe it's because you need to push yourself a little bit more. I'm not saying that's the cure to everybody else's problems. Of course it's not. But I do think that it helps and it makes our lives more fulfilling if we push ourselves outside of fear a little bit more. And please take my advice with a grain of salt. Once again, I think I say this in probably almost all of my episodes. I'm not the poster child for any of this. Like I said, I'm very, 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 very much still learning this myself. And I still fall short all the time when it comes to this because there's so many times where I look at things that I would like to do, but I can't push myself enough to do them, especially doing them alone, because that's another thing when you move to a different place. It's like most of the things that you want to do, you'll probably have to do them alone because you don't have your people yet. And most of the people that I have live really far away. So it's hard for me to have a support system for people to, like my friends would do back home, to just push me to do things with them. Now I have to be the one pushing myself to do it, and that's a lot harder. And it's kind of good in a way too because it helps me to break out of my shell more, break out of my comfort zone and fake that confidence even more. So, yeah. And I think that this is a really big problem that we have in our 20s as well. It's just something that everybody goes through, figuring out life. You're already living in a state of perpetual uncertainty about every single aspect of your life. What university am I going to go to? What am I going to study? Am I even going to go to university? And then when you graduate, it's like, okay, great. What now? Like, am I going to do an internship? Am I going to get a job? Am I going to move away? Am I going to just go straight into a master's? Am I going to do a PhD? Am I going to settle down? It's like, what? Ooh, everything is just uncertain. Everything is up in the air, and you're still all at once trying to figure out who you are in all of this. Because I feel like that's another thing. 20 is such a whirlwind because one minute you feel like you know yourself so well and you feel like you found yourself and you understand who you are. And then the next minute it's like, wait, no, I don't. I actually don't know shit. I don't know anything at all. And who even am I? So it's really no surprise that we're all insecure and we're all trying to figure out how to be confident and figure out how to not be lost in our lives. It makes perfect sense. And I don't even want to say, okay, wait till you get to your 30s or your 40s or when you become a full-blown adult, then you'll figure it out. Because I don't really think that's true. I think it's all a facade. I have a sneaky feeling that every single person, including the adults, just are kind of going with the flow like we are and just figuring it out. And they low-key don't know what they're doing with their lives either. Like, okay, they may have stable jobs and a wife and kids and all of these things, but I don't think that they actually, like, they're all insecure. They're all a little bit insecure. They're all a little bit floundering and they're all a little bit lost. And I think it's just the human nature to feel that way and to fake confidence. I don't think, as I said, I don't think I've ever met a single person who is 100% confident in their lives. There's some people that are more confident than others, but I don't think that anybody is 100% confident. and we're all just faking it, and we're all just pretending like we know what we're doing in life and that we have it all figured out. But in reality, it ain't true. It's all a facade. So to the person that asked me on that Instagram poll, how did I get to be so confident? This is what I have to tell you. I I fake it and I say yes more. And I would also say just to lean on your support system as well, because it definitely helps in inspiring confidence. Have the people in your life push you to do things more. Listen to the reassurance that you receive from others. And also, a big one would be play to your strengths. A lot of the things that people see me doing online is me just playing to my own strengths and also just not highlighting my weaknesses. So I'm good at public speaking. I'm good at analyzing situations and creating stories and narratives for people sometimes. And I'm also good at following instructions because I went to school. So all of these different things help me because I just play to those strengths. And when I succeed in them, it makes me more confident. So that's also another really great trick. And then whilst doing that, pursuing my own interests instead of doing everything that you should do. You know, I think everybody knows about that clear cut road for success that has been the traditional road for success, which is go to school, graduate, get a good job, stay in that job, make some money, get promoted consistently, and then have a life. And that whole thing has forever terrified me. I can never imagine just sticking to one thing or living that traditional lifestyle. So I kind of just really and truly really go with this with the flow and pander to my interests at the time and whatever I am strong in. And it has caused me to create a life of enjoyment for myself. And that does make me more confident. And that does help me feel better about myself because I'm doing what I like and I'm doing what I enjoy. And I'm also doing what I'm good at, whilst also reminding myself to push myself out of my comfort zone as much as I possibly can. So those things definitely do help me a lot. But all that to say, please remember that even if it looks like I'm super confident, even if it looks like somebody else is super confident, underneath it, once again, it's all a lie. Just remember that every single person has their insecurities. Every single person is overthinking and anxious in some way, shape, or form. Even the people who are the most outgoing and leading extroverted people do experience those feelings on some level. So I don't think that you should beat yourself up too much. I don't think anybody should. I think we should all just cut ourselves some slack. Like I said, we are, like the quote said, we're all baby adults. And like I said, I am a 2-year-old adult. I don't know where you're at in your 20s. And if you're not in your 20s, please understand that it is human nature to be floundering a little bit in life. And we're all just figuring it out as we go. We've never done this before. We're all living life for the first time ever. So just try to cut yourself some slack. And if I give you anything to remember from this episode today, it would be this. Just remember that you can't wish your life to be better. You can't wish yourself to figure things out. You can't wish yourself to be confident. So if there's something that you want to do, or if there's somebody that you want to be, just show up as that person. I know that's a big cliche, but really and truly just try to show up as whatever you think that person would be like once you're playing to yourself. And if there's something that you want to do it scared, do it afraid, do it anxious, do it terrified, because you can't wait for the day when you're going to be confident, because that day might never come. So you have to fake it. And then once it's done, and you're on the other side of it. And like I said, everything great happens on the other side of fair. Or like whoever said that quote. It definitely wasn't me. I just take the quotes and I give them to you guys. So that is all we have for today, guys. Thank you so much once again for listening and tuning in for another episode. Please come back next week, even though this was a bit of a rambly episode. Please come back for hopefully a more cohesive episode. So as always, if you want more of the Notes and Quotes podcast, make sure to check out our socials, which would be the Notes and Quotes pod, both on Instagram and TikTok. And if you want to see videos for the guest interviews and listen to the podcast on YouTube, you can do so at the Notes and Quotes podcast on YouTube. And if you want more of me, you can go check me out at Naomi A. Cambridge on Instagram. And please, if you enjoyed this episode, feel free to follow, subscribe, review, leave a comment, DM us on Instagram, whatever. And I really appreciate you guys tuning in for another week. And I will see you later. Have a great day, night, or afternoon, wherever you might be. Bye.